everyone, and welcome back to the Football Chuggu Podcast. My name is Thomas Durning, and today I'm joined by my co-host, Pearse McLaughlin. Hello, Pearse.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm doing well. On today's podcast, we'll be reacting to last weekend's Scottish Premier League results, English Premier League results, reacting to the latest managerial changes, including Mauricio Pochettino. We'll react to the Scotland squad that was announced today, May 22nd. We'll also react to Toni Kroos retiring at the end of the season. And at the end of the podcast, Pearse will be giving a rundown of all the latest Asian football news. So we'll start off with last weekend's Scottish Premier League results. So this was the last weekend of the season. So the results on Saturday, the 18th of May, were Celtic 3, St Mirren 2, Dundee 1, Kilmarnock 1, Hearts 3, Rangers 3. And then on Sunday, the 19th of May, there was 3 other matches, which finished Livingston 1, Hibs 1, Motherwell 1, St Johnstone 2, and Ross County 2, Aberdeen 2. So, Pearse, which match stands out to you the most?
Probably the Celtic 3, St Mirren 2. I thought it was last day kind of football. The season's already been confirmed. The title was last midweek for Celtic against Kilmarnock away. In fact, it performed a few rotations ahead of obviously the cup final coming up this week, which we'll touch on a wee bit later. But I thought St Mirren gave a good go of it, and they were a threat all game. I don't think Celtic really got out of second gear, to be honest. But they get the job done at the end of the day and get a 3-2 win to end the season on a high, which is obviously a trophy day for Celtic to top off their season and with a win is obviously a good thing. And then obviously the other standout fixture for me was Hearts 3, Rangers 3, which I thought obviously Lawrence Shankland got Hearts off to the perfect start with a really composed finish. Thought Rangers then after that kind of took control of the match, got 3 goals, could have had more. Cyril Dessers probably the miss of the season. I don't know how he's missed that from the cutback from Ross McLaughlin. And then Hearts score 2 late goals and just kind of sums up Rangers' season in the latter stages of this campaign, where they've just kind of looked kind of hit and miss at times because they look as if they're in total control and then the game just somehow slips away from them. But no, I thought it was a fantastic result for Hearts, and obviously they two were the standout fixtures for me.
Yep, my standout fixture is Motherwell 1, St Johnstone 2. This was a must-win for St Johnstone because if they won that match, well, it wasn't really in their hands. It was in Ross County's hands. So St Johnstone won that match 2-1. They were in a terrible losing run, but they managed to, on the last day of the season, get that win, and they were at the end of the match. They'd done their job. They got the 3 points, but they couldn't really celebrate because they wasn't sure what the Ross County score was. And as I just said, that Ross County Aberdeen match finished 2-2. So the St Johnstone fans started celebrating, and then the St Johnstone players joined in because that meant that St Johnstone's safety had been confirmed. So they will again play in the top flight next season. So it was a really, really good win for St Johnstone. A much needed win. That's them now safe from the relegation playoff, whereas Ross County aren't. They now are in the relegation playoff, and they will play Raith Rovers. In that playoff, Raith Rovers last week beat Partick Thistle on penalties to qualify for the playoff final. So that Ross County versus Raith Rovers determine who will stay or go into the Premiership, and who will drop down or stay in the Championship. Pearse, just obviously quickly, just your thoughts on that Ross County Raith Rovers match coming up. Do you think it'll be a close match?
I think it will be a very close match. We've seen that last year with the Ross County Partick Thistle. It went down to a solitary goal in extra time. It was high scoring on both legs. I expect it to be the same again. I think Ross County might have the edge because they've got players like Jan Danda, Simon Murray, and some experienced heads, which I think might get them over the line. But at the end of the day, they're not been a great season. Ross County, they've had some memorable results, but Raith Rovers will be fancying their chances. And it'll be interesting to see who comes out on top in that tie.
Yep, it will be a really interesting tie. These matches are always very tight. Ross County played in the championship, the playoff last season. They managed to get through that just about. So they'll be hoping for just the same. But it's really hard to call because these matches are always. I don't think it's really based. I don't think one team really easily goes through. These matches are always really tight, and it's going to be really interesting to see who goes or who stays in the Premiership or Premiership Championship. So yeah, we'll see. So moving on, we'll now react to last weekend's English Premier League results. So again, this was the last day of the season. All matches were played on Sunday, the 19th of May, and the results were Arsenal 2, Everton 1, Brentford 2, Newcastle United 4, Brighton 0, Man United 2, Burnley 1, Nottingham Forest 2, Chelsea 2, Bournemouth 1, Crystal Palace 5, Aston Villa 0, Liverpool 2, Wolves 0, Luton Town 2, Fulham 4, Manchester City 3, West Ham United 1, and Sheffield United 0, Tottenham 3. So just before you ask which match stands out to you, Pearse, so after that Luton Town Fulham match, which ended 4-2 to Fulham, that was meant that Luton were now confirmed as relegated to the English Championship. And Man City's win against West Ham United meant that they were confirmed Premier League champions. So, Pearse, so which match from last weekend stands out to you most?
Crystal Palace 5, Aston Villa 0. I think we've been touched on the best part of a few months now about Oliver Glasner's Crystal Palace side. Aston Villa during the midweek were confirmed as Champions League football next season under Unai Emery, which is a fantastic season, a fantastic achievement, pitting Tottenham Hotspur to that fourth Champions League spot. And I think you can see that they had a wee bit of a hangover because they don't usually get beat 5-0 by any side. But Crystal Palace have been on a really good running form at the moment. Scored some tremendous goals, and Mateta and Eze were the standout. I think Mateta's now got 19 goals this season. It's 11 in his last 10 games, which is a phenomenal form because the first part of the season under Roy Hodgson, it wasn't prolific at all. But under this new system, Crystal Palace are thriving and they're looking really lively. Elise, Eze, Mateta, and then obviously young Adam Wharton, who was a January signing from Blackburn Rovers, who just seems to slot perfectly into that midfield, and he's got himself an England call-up as well. So things looking really rosy at Crystal Palace at the moment. So that's the standout fixture for me from the Barclays Premier League.
Yep, my standout match was Manchester City 3, West Ham United 1. The obvious reasons were that this victory meant that Man City won the Premier League title. It was pretty much plain sailing in terms of the match. It was plain sailing for Man City. They got off to a great start with a great, fantastic Phil Foden goal. And then they quickly made it 2-0. And then West Ham United got back in the game with a Kudus with a kick. It was actually a really, really brilliant free kick. And then we all thought that there was going to be maybe a little bit of nerves and maybe Arsenal could capitalise on it. But Man City kind of cruised the second half. They got that goal in the second half to make it 3-1. And that was them confirmed Premier League champions for the fourth time in a row. In terms of Arsenal, they obviously won 2-1 on Sunday, so they'd done their job. They took it right down to the end. So they'll be feeling obviously pretty distraught that, they've managed to go all the way to the end of the season, stay in the title race with Man City, and yet they come out with nothing. It's been a pretty exciting title race. Fair play to Arsenal for the fact that they've kind of took it all the way to the last game of the season. But this Man City team are just machines. Something just clicks in them towards the end of the season where they just start going in this big massive winning run of form. And they showed that again this season. And when they go into this kind of run of form, I don't think anyone can stop them. That was my standout match from the weekend. We've also, now that the Premier League season is finished, we've got some managerial news. So we also know that before the last game of the season, we found out last week that Brighton and Roberto De Zerbi had decided to part ways. I think Roberto De Zerbi said it was a difference of opinions and a difference of how the club should move forward. So, Roberto De Zerbi has left Brighton. Brighton will now be looking for a new manager this summer. And then also we found out yesterday that Mauricio Pochettino and Chelsea have parted company by mutual consent. That was just pretty recent. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on that one, Pearse.
What, the Pochettino?
Mauricio Pochettino one, yeah.
Yeah, Pochettino. If you said this before the January, I'd have said no, I'm not surprised. But since then they've picked up something awful. I think they've been really, really good, and because they were down just hovering above the relegation for a long time in mid-table, 13th, 14th position. And they actually nearly even snuck a European place. That's how good form they were in. And he kind of got them scoring goals again. Stopped conceding goals because they had a really terrible run of form. Obviously they've had a lot of injuries this season as well, but so have a lot of other sides like Newcastle and Manchester United, to name a few. But no, I thought as the season's gone, they've just get stronger and stronger. Some really positive results towards the end of the season, and then for that to happen, there must have been something behind the scenes that they've obviously targeted another manager. They want to go another direction. That remains to be seen who that will be. There is talk of also Thomas Tuchel maybe going back to Chelsea, which is, I think a lot of Chelsea fans would love that appointment because obviously was successful in his first spell. And then obviously Pochettino, he's a top class manager. Done brilliantly at Tottenham, nearly gave them to a Premier League title. And then obviously went to PSG, won the league, but wasn't really successful in Europe. But there's a possibly vacant position at Manchester United, which I think maybe Pochettino might be targeting if Erik ten Hag doesn't make it to next season, depending on probably the cup final result in the FA Cup with Man City and Manchester United. But no, it's a pretty surprise one considering how well they finished the season. Because I think he's a good manager and he's got them playing really good football.
Yep. I was shocked to be fair. I didn't expect Mauricio Pochettino to leave Chelsea. I mean, there's been talk about it all season. I don't think the Chelsea fans were really taken to Pochettino, obviously because of his Tottenham links. And at the start, it was really difficult for him. But as you just said, as the season has gone on, I thought they've become much better. They look much more like a team. And especially at the end of the season, they've been fantastic. They went on a great run, managed to finish sixth, guaranteed European football next season. They got to a cup final as well this season as well. They managed to get to the Carabao Cup final where they lost to Liverpool in extra time. I was quite shocked about it. To be fair, I didn't expect it, and I just think again, I just don't understand where the Chelsea owners are wanting Chelsea to go. I think Pochettino deserves time. I really do. You can see from the players' reaction last night on social media that they looked like they were really disappointed that Pochettino had left. But the Chelsea owners have acted. They've decided to let Pochettino go. And then the word is that they are looking for a young coach with a style of football that's more possession-based. So there's been talk of the Brentford manager, Thomas Frank, getting the job, or the Ipswich Town manager, Kieran McKenna. He's been talked internally apparently as well about him getting the job. So there's I don't really know where Chelsea are going to be going at the moment. I still think it's a poor decision. I thought Pochettino did deserve it at least next season, because I did think Chelsea were getting somewhere with Pochettino, but that's not going to be happening anymore. And then in terms of Pochettino, I don't think he'll be waiting for a job too soon. We all know about Bayern Munich's situation. I just have a sneaky feeling that Bayern Munich are going to kind of jump at that chance and maybe appoint Pochettino, and there'll be a Pochettino Harry Kane link up again. So I'd definitely be surprised if I see Pochettino managing in Germany next season. So yeah, so that's that. So we'll move on now to a couple of previews. So I just want to preview tonight's match, which is the Europa League Final, and that's between Bayer Leverkusen versus Atalanta. So just briefly, Pearse, well, we don't really know. I think we know what team you think, what you'll want to win. But how do you think the match will go, and who do you think will win?
I think obviously, I think Leverkusen are strong favourites because of the season they've had both domestically and in Europe and the style of football they've got. But it's probably the perfect opponent they've got in Atalanta, who, like I say, an Italian side, play a three at the back, very defensive minded, but very strong in the counter attack, and they score a lot of goals for fun. Adam Lukman's a really dangerous player that's played in England before. But obviously, Atalanta have lost their captain for injury, Martin De-Roon. So that'll be a big loss for them in the middle of the park. But both sides get quality all over the park. And I think it will be a very close affair. I can see it maybe going extra time, but I do think, like you say, Leverkusen have got a never say die attitude this season, and I don't know how many times they've scored in the 90 plus minutes. Just to remain undefeated this season, which is ridiculous because it's a fluke if it happens one, but see if it happens 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 times, it's not a fluke. That's just a mentality that everyone's instilled. So I think Leverkusen will edge it just, but I'm expecting it to be an absolute tremendous affair, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Yep, I think once again, I think it'll be a really good match. Two very attacking teams that like to score goals. Obviously, Atlanta have had a good kind of run. They've comfortably beat Liverpool, who are the heavy favourites to win this competition. Yeah, they've got some really good players, Atlanta, the likes of Miners and Scamacca, and you're saying Darun's going to be missing, so that's a big miss for them. They've got Ademola Lookman as well, who's been a really big player for them. So they've got some really good players, Atlanta. And then obviously Leverkusen, I don't think we need to go into a lot of detail about Leverkusen. We all know what they've been this season. They finished the season unbeaten, so they didn't lose a match in the league this season. They've already won the Bundesliga. They've got a high quality players in the team. Frimpong, Grimaldo, Florian Wirtz. The list is endless. So yeah, a really good match. In terms of who I think will win, I think it's very hard to look past Leverkusen. I mean, they haven't lost a match in God knows how long. They just have this way at the moment where they just know how to win. As you said, they've got this never say die attitude. They could be losing in the 90th minute and then turn around and win the match. It's just crazy, the mentality Xabi Alonso's implemented into them. So I'm going to say Leverkusen win it. I think they will actually win it in 90 minutes, to be honest. I think it will be tight, but I just think Leverkusen will have too much for Atlanta, and I think Leverkusen will win the Europa League tonight. So yeah, really looking forward to that. We'll now move on to Saturday, the 25th of May. That's just in a few days' time. There's two cup final matches. So the FA Cup final, we have Man United versus Man City. And then in the Scottish Cup final, we have Celtic versus Rangers. So we've got two derbies. We'll start off. Actually, Pearse, just if you want, you can talk about which one you want to talk about first, and then how do you think both matches will end?
I think we'll start with a quick preview of the Manchester derby because I think we all know there's only one winner there, and that's Manchester City. Man United have been terrible this season, up and down. They've had 13 different partnerships at the back. And let's be honest, Manchester City have hit form at the right time, and that's why they're now champions. And I expect them to then go on and win the FA Cup. They'll see the winners. They've got that mentality in them. And they're just better all over the park. And Manchester United seem a bit disjointed. They've got so many injuries. in terms of key players out, and a lot of the players that are not been injured haven't been performing to the levels they did last season, which seen them finish third in the Premier League. And I think it might be a repeat of last season, the FA Cup final, which was obviously also a Manchester derby. I could see Man City getting an early goal and then just seeing the game out quite comfortably. And in terms of obviously the Glasgow derby, Celtic versus Rangers at Hampden, I expect a different approach from Philippe Clement's Rangers side, because he cannot start another Glasgow derby like that again. In terms of that's now 3 games in a row he's started the match 2-0 down. His sides came out too slow, and not really went after Celtic from the get go. And I feel as if Hampden 50-50 split with the fans as well, which is another major incentive for both teams. That it won't be one side having it all their own way. So it'll be a tremendous atmosphere and it'll be a brilliant occasion. It always is. And obviously it's the first Celtic Rangers Scottish Cup final for a number of years. I think it's 20 years. If memory serves me correctly. I might be a wee bit off with that, but it's been a long time since that's happened. And I expect it to be fireworks. I expect it to be high intensity. I expect Celtic to go into as massive favourites, having just won the league and obviously undefeated against Rangers this season. And obviously, history does come into this fixture, but also every fixture is a brand new chapter in the book, and I'm really looking forward to it. And I think this one could go extra time, but I do think Celtic might edge it because obviously they've been undefeated this season against Rangers. But I expect a Rangers side to come out all firing from the get go and have a real go at Celtic, and it's just how they respond. And yeah, so I think that's going to be 2 brilliant matches.
Yep, 2 brilliant matches. I'll start with what you started with, Man City. I think Man City will win this match. I just think they'll win because they'll be determined to kind of win the double this season. They'll be on a high after just winning the Premier League last just there. And I think overall they've got the better squad. So I think Man City will win that match within 90 minutes. In terms of Man United, the reason I don't think they'll win this match is because they've got a lot of key issues in the moment, especially defensively. They've got a lot of problems in that position at the moment. They just they haven't had a good season at all. They are in the final, so I mean, and the fact they're playing the derbies, I do expect Man United to put in a good performance, and I do think they will run Man City close. I do have that feeling, but I just think at the end of the day, Man City will have too much quality for them. And I just think that, yeah, at the end of the day, I think defensively as well, they're much stronger. I don't think Man United have got. I don't think they're strong enough to cope with the likes of Kevin De Bruyne and Erling Haaland. So, yeah, I think it's hard for me to see beyond Man City, and I do think Man City will win the FA Cup for a second year in a row. In terms of Celtic versus Rangers, a really exciting match to look forward to. It's always good to see. It's always exciting when Celtic and Rangers are playing in a final, and Scottish Cup final. That's really exciting. In terms of my prediction, I'm going to say Celtic will win that in extra time. I think you're right about Rangers. I think they will come out, and I actually think they'll put in a really good performance. They'll do. I don't think they'll want to see Celtic celebrating again. They'll do everything they can to stop Celtic, to stop that the celebrations that we've seen the last couple of weeks or so. But I just think, because I think Rangers have got a few issues at the moment, injury wise. I think defensively they've got a few issues at the moment. I think up front as well, they've got quite a few issues. So I just think that with key players that they'll be missing, I just think Celtic will have a bit too much for them. And I think Celtic will go on and lift the Scottish Cup. And I also think Celtic will, like Man City, go on and lift a double this season. But I do think that'll be a very tight match. As I say, I've got a feeling that Rangers will put in a really good performance. But I just think at the end of the day, Celtic will just have a bit too much for them. And I think, yeah, as I just said, I think Celtic will go on and win that match. So we'll now move on to probably the most exciting bit of the podcast. The one I think we've both discussed for quite a while now, and that is the Scotland Euro 2024 provisional squad. So this isn't actually the confirmed squad yet, but this is basically the squad that'll be going to the Euros. So I'll go through it quickly, and then we'll both react to it. So in goals, as goalkeepers, the goalkeepers are Xander Clark, Craig Gordon, Angus Gunn, and Liam Kelly. The defenders are Liam Cooper, Grant Hanley, Jack Hendry, Ross McCrory, Scott McKenna, Ryan Porteous, Anthony Ralston, Andy Robertson, John Souther, Greg Taylor, and Kieran Tierney. The midfielders, Stuart Armstrong, Ryan Christie, Billy Gilmore, Ryan Jack, John McGinn, Callum McGregor, Kenny McLean, and Scott McTominay. And finally, the forwards are Che Adams, Ben Doak, Lauren Shankland, and James Forrest, Lyndon Dykes, and Lauren Shankland. So yeah, that's the squad. That will be trimmed down, as I just said, but basically that is the squad that'll be going to the Euros. So, what do you think about it, Pearse? Do you think it's a good squad? Do you think it's a bad squad? And is there any names in there that jump out to you that you're surprised that they are going to Euros or not?
I think it's a strong squad. Obviously, I don't think we're taking 4 goal, that's a certainty. I think Craig Gordon might drop out, or Xander Clark be 182. I think Liam Kelly is the understudy to Angus Gunn. You might obviously take Craig Gordon because obviously the experience. In terms of defenders, obviously we've got no right backs. It was confirmed early in the week that Nathan Patterson and Aaron Hickey are both ruled out of the Euros. So probably the only natural right back we've got is Anthony Ralston, maybe Ross McCrory, who's had a good season, uncapped player, obviously former Rangers and Aberdeen defender slash holding midfielder, who also can play full back as well. So he could be an option, but it remains to be seen. I don't know if we'll take 3 left backs because we've got Tierney, Robertson, and Greg Taylor. So I think maybe Greg Taylor might miss out. In terms of Stuart Armstrong, I thought his season was done. With injuries and stuff like that with Southampton, but with his experience, if he's in and around the squad, can play a number of position calls. We've got Lewis Ferguson out injured as well. He's going to miss the Euros. Ryan Jack is a surprise inclusion for me because he's barely kicked the ball all season for Rangers. Yeah, we cannot deny his quality on the ball. He's a tremendous football player, but as I think his knees are made of glass. Just can't seem to stay fit. But when he's on the park, he's also a tremendous player and a really good option in that holding midfielder. And then obviously Ben Doak, youngster for Liverpool, came through the academy at Celtic. He's played in the reserve side for Liverpool. He's been a standout for them this season. He's played a few times for the senior side in the Carabao and FA Cup. I think he got injury earlier in the season as well. So be interested to see because he's been really good as well for the Scotland under 21. So it remains to see if he'll be taken or not. But it does give Scotland that option if they want to change to a 4 at the back and go winners, because that's probably why James Forrest is in the squad. I don't think we've seen that at the start of the season. It's James Forrest back in the Scotland squad because it's been 4 years since he's been in the camp. And his form in the season for Celtic has been imperative for Celtic going on and winning the title, in my opinion. And he's rolling back the years. He's looking really, really sharp. And he could play in any position in terms of up front, in behind the strikers, on the wings, or in a wing back position if you need him to be. So I think him and obviously Shea Adams, I think he's currently injured at the moment. I think Scotland are going to assess his fitness. So I think he's key for Scotland because him and Lyndon Dykes have been a lethal partnership not in terms of goal scoring, but just in terms of overall playing, causing defenders nightmares. So no, all in all, think it's a very strong Scotland squad, and obviously we'll see two people miss out from that list. But for me, I'm very impressed with that Scotland squad.
Yep, I think it's a good squad. I think obviously it could be a much better squad, because obviously we've got some key players missing. So obviously our two first choice right backs, Nathan Patterson and Aaron Hickey, have not made it, which is, let's be honest, is a huge blow, because they're both very young fullbacks. And Aaron Hickey's, before he got injured, he was having a really good season at Brentford. He's been brilliant in a Scotland shirt. And he was a key player in getting us into the Euros, so that's a really big disappointment. Same with Nathan Patterson as well. He's done a really good job since in a Scotland shirt. And then obviously Lewis Ferguson, a tremendous campaign at Bologna, was the captain. Was having a brilliant season, and then he went injured his ACL, which has basically ruled him out for the full year. So that was really disappointing. So three big players there. But in terms of the squad that has been picked, there's a few players in there that do stand out to me. Obviously, Ross McCrory. I think the reasons obviously he's been picked is because obviously I think it'll be either him or Anthony Ralston that will play at right wing back at the Euros. So it's James Forrest is an option there, but I think Steve Clarke kind of likes to play with more defensive wing backs. So I'm not sure James Forrest will play in that position. But Anthony Ralston and Ross McCrory are more defensive minded. So it's not. I'll be honest with you, it's a position I'm worried about now going into the Euros because because we had such good depth there, and now we've lost our depth. I do worry that teams are going to kind of target that side when we do play in the Euros because, we are missing our two first choice right backs. So that is a bit of a concern. But it'll be good to see Ross McCrory because, he has had a pretty decent season at Bristol City. So it'll be interesting to see how he does in the friendlies. Other players like Stuart Armstrong, because he got injured just towards the end of the season at Southampton, but he has managed to make it. So it's good to see him. Ryan Jack, I do agree with you there. He hasn't played any football at all, basically, for Rangers this season. So I'm quite surprised that he did make this squad. But I'll be honest with you, I don't think he will make the final squad. I do think he will drop out. I think Steve Clarke just wants to see where he's at and where his fitness is. But I just don't think he will have enough to kind of make it into that final squad. And then last but not least, Ben Doak was a name that I was very surprised to see. I didn't expect that at all. I quite like the thinking there from Steve Clarke. He's obviously a very young player, got a lot of potential, a lot of talent. He's come into that Liverpool team and he has been injured this season, but he's shown glimpses of what he can be like in the future. He's still very, very young. I think he's only 18 years old, 19 years old maybe. But it's quite obvious Steve Clarke's picked him because this is where Ben Doak will basically, in the future, he will be part of Scotland squads if, obviously he keeps playing at the level that he can play at. So it'll be good to see him in that squad, and he does give Scotland something different. He's got that pace. He's a very tricky player. He's got a lot of pace. I'm really excited to see how he gets on. I think overall it's a good squad. Not a lot of names there that surprise me in terms of being, because a lot of these players have been in previous Steve Clarke squads. He is very loyal to these players. But as I said, it is that right back position that does worry me because you're missing our two first choice right backs is a real big blow. So so we'll see how we get on the friendlies and see. And then obviously before we know it, we'll be playing in the first game of the Euros against Germany. We'll now move on to the big news, which was confirmed yesterday, that Real Madrid midfielder Toni Kroos has announced that he will be retiring after the Euro 2024. Obviously, Toni Kroos, centre mid, he's had an illustrious career. He's won a lot of trophies. Had a really good career at Bayern Munich, and then in 2014 he moved to Real Madrid, and the rest was history at Real Madrid. He's been there for 10 years now. Basically won everything. He's won the World Cup as well. He has decided at the end of the season that he will be retiring from football. So, what's your thoughts on that, Pearse?
Devastated, to be honest. Didn't expect that at all. Because he just recently rejoined the German national side again after a hiatus after Euro 2020. Um, and like you say, you've seen his performances in recent weeks in La Liga and in the Champions League. He's been a standout performer. And you think to him and Kroos, him and Modric, sorry, Kroos and Modric in that midfield. And obviously Casemiro was the linchpin of that as well, but he's obviously now moved on to Manchester United. And he's looking a little bit leggy at the moment. But Toni Kroos is still looking fit as ever. Probably playing his best football as well. And on course to obviously win another Champions League. Which is an incredible achievement. It's now his 10th season at Real Madrid. And you forget, you think he's probably older than what he is, because Luka Modric is 38. But actually Toni Kroos was 34 years old. But he did say he would always retire at Real Madrid because he wanted to go out at the top and on his own terms. He is a family man, so I think, and the fact is as well, it might be a omen written in the stars. Fingers crossed for me, because his first Champions League victory was against Dortmund at Wembley in his last appearance for Real Madrid, or club football match will be the Champions League final against Dortmund at Wembley. So hopefully that's a good omen that he goes on and lifts the trophy, and then he finishes his career after potentially a successful campaign with Germany at Euro 2024.
Yeah. I was quite surprised about it, to be honest. I was all expecting him to be staying at Real Madrid. I had it in my head that I thought he was going to sign a new contract for at least another season, and stay at Real Madrid. I didn't expect him at all to retire, because he is only 34. That's pretty young now, in football. So yeah, I was surprised at that. But as you said, I think his family is really important to him. So yeah, in terms of him as a football player, what a player he was in that middle of the park, with the likes of Modric and Casemiro. That famous three in the midfield is going to be, it's one of the best midfields of this century. He's won countless trophies, as I've just said. He's got countless assists, countless goals. He's going to be he's a real big personality as well, on the pitch. He scored. I remember he scored that famous goal in the World Cup against Sweden, from a very good angle for the free kick. But yeah, I'm very, very shocked at the news. But what a career he's had, I don't think he's got anything else to prove. And he did say he wanted to finish at the highest level, which he is going to be finishing at the highest level. And he'll be hoping that he'll win the Champions League, and what a way to retire. Uh, yeah, he was part of that famous midfield three with Casemiro and Modric. Um, you know, um, and yeah, so probably one of the best midfields of the 21st century, as I said. So yeah, was pretty surprised that he is retiring. Um, uh, he did say he wanted to retire at the highest level, which he has, and he'll be desperate to sign off at Real Madrid with another Champions League trophy. What a way to retire at Real Madrid. And then obviously he'll obviously want to go on and win the Euros with Germany in the summer. So obviously he'll be wanting two massive finishes before he retires. I think that'll be his dream to see. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But very surprised to hear Toni Kroos is retiring, and obviously good luck to him in whatever he does next. So for the final part of the show, Pearse will now give his Asian football roundup.
Yeah, so start off with some K League One action. So Saturday, 18th of May, we had Daejeon Hana Citizen 0, Incheon United 1, Gimcheon Sangwoo 1, Jeju United 0. And then Sunday, the 19th of May, we had FC Seoul 1, Daegu FC 2, Gangwon FC 1, Ulsan HD FC 0, Gwangju FC 0, Jeonbuk Hyundai Motors 3, Suwon FC 1, Pohang Steelers 0. So let's leave the table looking like this. Top of the table, we have Pohang Steelers on 25 points. Gimcheon Sangwoo is closely behind on second position on 24 points. And Ulsan HD FC, the reigning champions, are now sitting in third place also on 24 points. But they also had the opportunity to go top of the table. But in the space of a week, they've lost two matches. to Guangzhou and now to Gangwon FC, which now sees them sitting joint second and at the top of the table. And at the bottom half of the table, we have Daejeon Hana Citizen, who are rock bottom of the table. 13 matches played, only 11 points. And then right above them, we have Jeonbuk Hyundai Motors on 13 points. And then 10th and 9th position, we have Jeju United and Daegu FC, both on 14 points, only separated by a solitary goal. Really tight at the top of the table, really tight at the bottom of the table in terms of both fighting for that title and obviously fighting for relegation. So it's really exciting times in the K-League at the moment. So moving now on to the J League 1 action. So Saturday the 18th May with Avispa Fukuoka 0, Cerezo Osaka 3, Sagan Tusu 0, Nagoya Grampus 2. Then Sunday the 19th of May we had Jubilo Iwata 1, Ura Diamonds 1, Kyoto Sanga 0, Sanfrecce Hiroshima 5, FC Zelvia 5, Tokyo Verde 0, FC Tokyo 1, Yokohama F. Mariners 1, Campbell Osaka 3, Kawasaki Frontale 1, Kashima Antlers 1, Vissel Kobe 0, Kashiwa Reysol 2, Hoikuro Consadole Sapporo 1, and then Shonan Bellmare 2, Alberich Niigata 1. So it's leading the table looking like this. At the top of the table, we have FC Zelvia get a 3-point lead at the top of the table after 15 matches played. What a season they're having. Just going from strength to strength after getting promoted from the J2. Vissel Kobe and Kawasaki Antlers right behind them on 29 points. And both sides are separated by 6 goals. And it's last season champions that are sitting in second position in Vissel Kobe. So at the bottom of the table, we have Gota Sanga FC, 20th position, 9 points after 15 matches played. And then we have just above them in 19th position with Hoikuro Consadole Sapporo and 11 points. And then 18th and 17th joint on 14 points. We have Shonan Bellmare and Sagan Tusu separated again by only the 1 goal. So in terms of other Asian football news, it's exciting news as the K-League 1 Panini trading cards has returned for the 2024 season. It's not been confirmed the exact date of the release, but the 2023 cards went down a treat and sold out pretty much instantly. Keep an eye out at your local 7-Eleven convenience stores here in South Korea in the not too distant future, and I'm sure they'll all sell out like gold dust. So Mizuno is set to become AS Monaco's next equipment supplier starting from the 2025-26 season. Discussions are at an advanced stage. AS Monaco, having just qualified for the Champions League, would join Lazio in the Serie A and Augsburg in the Bundesliga as teams that have already signed up with Mizuno. Mizuno is a well-known Japanese sports equipment manufacturer, recognised for its high-quality products, aligning perfectly with AS Monaco's aspirations to be a luxurious club. So the KFA have announced that Kim Do-Hoon as an interim coach to lead South Korea in the 2 World Cup second qualifying matches to be held in June. South Korea is scheduled to play an away game against Singapore on June 6th, followed by a home match against China on the 11th of June. Tottenham Hotspur will travel to South Korea as part of his pre-season tour of Asia this summer. Spurs will compete in the Kupang Play Series 2024, which will include a fixture against Bayern Munich at the iconic Seoul World Cup Stadium. The matchup will see summer foes face against each other, and Kim and Jae against his compatriot and Son Heung-min, and of course Harry Kane playing against his good friend Sonny and his old club Tottenham Hotspur. So the match is scheduled for Saturday, the 3rd of August, with more details about kick-off times, etc., to be confirmed at a later date. And the ticket will be released also at a later date as well. So keep your eyes peeled for that. So it's set for another exciting summer in Korea in terms of big clubs coming to visit. So Daejeon Hana Citizen, who sit rock bottom of the K-League 1. So the manager, Lee Min-sang, has resigned from his post as head coach. Daejeon currently rock bottom of the K-League 1 with 11 points from a possible 39, managing only 2 wins. So Yokohama F. Mariners are taking over 2 movie theatres to hold fan viewings for Saturday night's ACL final, second leg against Al Ain. So we touched on last week's podcast previewing the first leg in terms of Hernan Crespo's United Arab Emirates side Al Ain. So against Harry Kewell's Yurkem F. Maros. So the first leg in Japan finished 2-1 to Yokohama. So the second leg is obviously going to be held in the Hazrat bin Zayed Stadium in Al Ain, and that is set for Sunday the 26th of May and a 1 a.m. kickoff South Korea time. So it's going to be Saturday night for most of Europe. But exciting tie that's on a knife edge, and really looking forward to it. And that's all your latest Asian football news.
Thank you, Pearse. And thank you, everyone, for listening to this episode of the Football Chuggu Podcast. This podcast will be available to listen to on the Football Chuggu YouTube channel and also the Football Chuggu website. Thanks for listening and see you soon.
Bye-bye.